You wanted more Fix-It videos? You got more Fix-It videos. This time, we're going to be talking about my fix for the Phoenix Sorcerer. If you want to know what the Phoenix Sorcerer is or any of the stuff that I'm talking about, stay tuned. What's going on, everyone? Ted from Immersion here, and I'm here to do a fixing video, a fix-it video, fixing 5e. What does that mean? That means, in my opinion, there are some things that are broken with 5th edition that could use some updates or some tweaks to be more in line with the way some of the better and more balanced classes and other features are. First of all, I will address I've been doing home renovations and drywalling, hence all of this that you see here and the crazy hair. There's probably drywall bits in it. I don't know, I've got like a weird Wolverine thing going on. Just go with it. So, I recently released a video that I gave my top 7 Unearthed Arcana subclasses that were never published. Just as a quick aside, in that video, folks, anything that's been released, like the Wildfire Druid or any of those other things, they were released so recently that it seems like the opportunity for them to be in a published source is still viable. That's why I didn't add them in the video. But I said, would you guys like to see me go into those 7 that I listed, and possibly other ones in the future, and try to fix those and update them to be more in line with what, I think it should be. And you all said, yes, you'd like to do that. So let's talk Phoenix Sorcerer. So I'm going to go to D&D Beyond because I have a player who's actually playing a Phoenix Sorcerer right now in my campaign, and I made updates to that. I will say up front that I did apply all of my base Sorcerer updates to this, and if you want to see those in detail, there's actually 2 separate videos. There's a Sorcerer and a Sorcerer 2.0 video. I think I land more on the Sorcerer 2.0 video because I refined it, but I'll go through some of the options here so that makes sense. So, you know what I probably should do is pull up the actual Phoenix Sorcerer as it, actually, no, I don't have to because I have it all spelled out here verbatim, minus a couple changes that I can tell you about. So, the first level ability that you get as a Phoenix Sorcerer is called Ignite. At first level, you can touch things and they set on fire. Anything flammable with the touch of your hand, a torch, piece of tinder, hem of drapes, whatever. You can do that. Didn't change that. Kind of one of your main abilities is Mantle of Flame. Starting at first level, you unleash the Phoenix Fire. As a bonus action, you wreathe yourselves in swirling fire and your eyes glow like hot coals. For 1 minute, you gain the following benefits. You shed bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light in another 30 feet. Any creature takes fire damage equal to your Charisma modifier if it hits you with a melee attack from within 5 feet of you, or if it touches you. That includes grapple. And whenever you roll fire damage on your turn, the roll gains a bonus equal to your Charisma modifier. And it was originally, once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. That's how it stood in the Unearthed Arcana. I added the following line here. At 5th level, you can spend 5 sorcery points to use this feature an additional time, even if you have expended all normal uses. So you get the 1 use, right? So you have that. And this lets you spend 5 sorcery points to do it again. And I think that's a decent trade-off. This is kind of your whole shtick. If at 5th level you wanted to, you could blow all of your sorcery points just to activate this again. But later on, even at level 20, that's still not giving you a ton of options to do this beyond the first time. But it still makes it an impactful choice if you want to do it. Then there is the Phoenix Spark ability at level 6. If you are reduced to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to draw on the spark of the Phoenix. You're instead reduced to 1 hit point, and each creature within 10 feet of you takes fire damage equal to half your sorcerer level plus your charisma modifier. That's untouched. And then if you use this feature while under the effects of your Mantle of Flame, this feature instead deals fire damage equal to your sorcerer level plus double your charisma modifier, and your Mantle of Flame immediately ends. That's how it's written, and then it also says once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. I added this caveat. So if you have your Mantle of Flame up, and you drop to 0 hit points activating your Phoenix Spark, It says your Mantle of Flame immediately ends. That's what's written. And then I added, when Mantle of Flame ends in this manner, it can still be used again without requiring a long rest. So this you get at level 6. So what happens, what that means, I mean, you could also make, well, I guess what that means is if you, like, because it's, again, Mantle of Flame is your whole kind of main feature. And then it would really suck to have that up and then drop to 0 hit points. You do some damage to people, but then it immediately ends. So you just used it, die, or went to 0 hit points, popped up, and now you don't have it. So it's sort of a benefit in the off case that does happen. You can get it back and get to use it again. And then this would still combo with the fact at 5th level you could spend 5 sorcery points to do it again. You may choose to add this at 5th level feature that I mentioned at 6th level, because that's when they normally get updates. Sorcerers normally get their next ability, but I left that alone. And then I left the Nourishing Fire. When you expend a spell slot to cast a spell that includes fire damage roll, you regain hit points equal to the slot's level plus your charisma modifier. I left that alone. And then at 18th level, you get Form of the Phoenix. While under the effects of Mantle of Flame, you have a fly speed of 40 feet and can hover. You have resistance to all damage. And if you use your Phoenix Spark, the ability we talked about, it deals an extra 20 fire damage to each creature. And this synergizes well with the fix we did above, where all of those happen when you use Mantle of Flame. Having the ability to spend sorcery points or getting it back if it's up when Phoenix Spark activates means you can use the things that all of these things update. You can use those more often. So a thing that I added, which is one of my fixes to the Sorcerer on the base, I guess I could say this. You could stop here, and that would pretty much be everything. 2 things that I added to all Sorcerers was this idea that I called Bloodline Recovery, similar to a Wizard's Arcane Recovery, and then it's starting at level 2. You have learned to regain some of your inherent magical energy through deep concentration. Once per day, when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended sorcery points to recover. The sorcery points recovered are equal to or less than half of your sorcerer level, rounded up. So similarly to how a wizard can do the same thing with Arcane Recovery and gain spell slots back, you can gain sorcery points back, which normally your sorcery points you don't get back till you take a long rest, and especially if you're going to be using abilities like I mentioned in here, where you could be spending 5 to get more Mantle of Flame. I thought Bloodline Recovery was something that makes a sorcerer more unique, and that you can just get more sorcery points back. It's a one-time thing on a long rest, once, and you still have to take the short rest to do it. So I added that in. I've been playing with someone who's been playing with this build, and it hasn't really impacted things thus far. And then I also, similar to what we saw in a lot of the recent Unearthed Arcana, added the concept of Bloodline Spells. So essentially, domain spells or oath spells. Basically, you get 2 spells automatically known, because as a sorcerer, you do have a drastically small list of spells known. So I said you get, 2 first, 2 second, 2 third, 2 fourth, 2 fifth, automatically known. I go over this in the Sorcerer 2.0 video that I mentioned. I go over all of the ones for the official published sources in there. So Dragonborn, Favored Soul, yada yada. I go through all of those in that video. But I made a list that I gave to my player for Phoenix Sorcerer. So I kind of went with this Phoenix Sorcerer here, is kind of the way it's written, is kind of a little bit of healing, a little bit of damage. So I sort of went with that kind of general concept of the Phoenix. And what you get at 1st level is Fairy Fire and Feather Fall. At 2nd level, you get Scorching Ray and Calm Emotions. At 3rd level, you get Fireball and Mass Healing Word. At 4th level, you get Fire Shield and Death Ward. We're going to see the theme here. And at 5th level, you get Flame Strike and Raise Dead. Those are kind of, you may argue, and I'll be honest, that was definitely biased, because the game that I'm playing in with this character that I mentioned, that party doesn't really have a healer. So I gave the sorcerer a little bit of healing magic in that. But I don't think that that's too broken, because the Phoenix, the concept of the legendary Phoenix is fire and burning and raising people from the dead coming back to life. So that's why I thought Raise Dead made sense. Mass Healing Word doesn't do a ton of healing. So that, and again, none of these spells that I think I'm putting in here are desperately ruined by the use of meta magic either, which is something you need to consider, that sorcerers will have access to meta magic, twin spell, extend spell, that kind of thing. And I don't think any of these are really, I don't think it's a big deal if you use those, any of these spells. So that is sort of my list of Phoenix spells, the Bloodline spells. So if you're not going to apply my base level sorcerer increase to make sorcerer a slightly better, which would include this Bloodline Recovery feature where you get sorcery points back, you could drop that, and that probably, and what else is here would be fine. And if you don't like the concept of giving the sorcerer additional spells known, you could drop the Phoenix spells, and then what you would just basically be doing is at 5th level, you could spend 5 sorcery points to get Mantle of Flame back. And if Mantle of Flame ends because of the activation of Phoenix Spark, you can use it again. And that would be the basic updates. Another thing I did add to every arcane caster, basically, I think it was basically actually just Wizard and Sorcerer. But basically, I have every spellcaster in my games, something I added to all of them. Every spellcaster can cast Detect Magic as a ritual. It's not like, even if you're a paladin or someone that doesn't typically have access to ritual spells, everyone can cast Detect Magic as a ritual without having to prepare the spell. You just can do that innately because you are a caster of magic. I feel like that makes sense. And then you could obviously still choose to prepare it if it's a spell you're able to prepare, so you could cast it as an action as opposed to taking the 10 minutes. But that's another update I did to mine, and I think I gave I think wizards and sorcerers, and I think warlocks too, Detect Magic and Find Familiar, automatically known, prepared as rituals that they can have. They obviously, again, could take them to cast them faster, but I thought I'd just jump over here to D&D Beyond to just show you, here's the character, and you can see right here, right, so it'll say Phoenix Spells, these are the ones that she has. And then again, here in my features and traits, you can see all this stuff. Here's Mantle of Flame. I gave her a magic item that lets her use it twice automatically. Here's the Phoenix spell list. Here's the sorcery points, and then I added the Bloodline Recovery feature here. And then again, Phoenix Spark, and so on. So that's pretty much it, folks. It's a pretty simple update. I think the Phoenix Sorcerer was really cool in concept. I really don't know why it didn't end up in the book, unless Wizards really didn't want to go down the route of pigeonholing someone specifically into a type of damage. But if their Unearthed Arcana class features that they released comes out where you could do the one type of meta magic that lets you change damage to elemental type, and like changes the elemental type of the damage, like you could cast Fireball and use a meta magic to spend a sorcery point to change it to lightning damage or something like that. That's something they had in that. So if you combine that, I guess that could kind of meter it out a little bit. But I don't know, I thought the Phoenix Sorcerer was really good. I think those few small updates, basically giving you access to your Mantle of Flame more often, which is kind of your whole thing, lets you do the thing that makes your class unique more often. And then again, obviously the Bloodline Recovery concept, but I would definitely look into doing the spells. And honestly, if you want to fix any sorcerer at all, I would give them the Bloodline spells, basically 2 spells, a first, second, third, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, automatically known, and that will make the sorcerer immensely better, and they'll probably be even happier, because if you pick spells that fit and work well in the game, then they have more freedom in their spell choice to take things they wouldn't possibly take because their spell list is so limited. So anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the first of many upcoming Fix-It videos. Yes, there are a lot on the docket already, aside from the ones in Unearthed Arcana that you have asked me to do, and I will do those. I also have some big ones planned, like Ranger, but that's going to take a long time, and I'm going to have to sit down and write out everything. This one was kind of off the cuff, and I happened to have it because I put it in D&D Beyond for my player. But a lot of these videos, just a little peek behind the curtain, I don't script any of my videos. You can probably tell from the way they go, but everything that happens in my videos, I just go, I turn the camera on, and I just go till I'm done talking. So that's why I had to write everything down for the Way of Four Elements Monk, because it needed so much work. And that's the same thing with Ranger. It's going to need even more work that I can't just do it off the top of my head. I'm going to have to write it all out to make it work. So hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy, and, you know, do your best to make the most out of the situation we all find ourselves in right now. And again, if you do like what I'm doing and you want to support the channel, subscribing and clicking the notification bell does help. If anything, it makes me happy, and it makes me encouraged to make more videos for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.